This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Okay, good morning, Rabbi Glatstein. I want to speak out a brief word on the Parsha before we begin. We have, in this week's Parsha, by the Mun, a very interesting pasuk. And what I'm about to tell you is a insight into a little Hebrew grammar. Little grammar in Lashon HaKodesh, but really if you understand the grammar, you'll understand the true meaning behind the pasuk. There's a pasuk in the end of Beshalach, Parak Tezayin, pasuk Chaf. Parak Tezayin, pasuk Chaf. And the pasuk says like this. Moshe Rabbeinu tells the people that don't leave over the man. You better not leave over the man. And the people didn't listen. V'lo shamu al Moshe. They didn't listen to Moshe. Vayosiru anosha mimenu, and some men left over from it ad boiker till the morning. Vayarum tailaim vayevash, and it became wormy, and it spoiled. Vayiktzayf aleha Moshe, and Moshe got angry at them. Very interesting. The pasuk says Vayarum tailaim vayevash. It became wormy and it spoiled. There is a missing dot in this pasuk. Now, it's also very interesting that nowadays most Sfarim, when they make a kamatz, they make a horizontal line with a vertical line going down in the middle. But really, traditionally, the kamatz is a horizontal line, like a patach, and then there's a dot underneath. If you remember from your cheder days, when you were a little kid, when they taught you nekudas from your Aleph Beis book, the kamatz had a horizontal line with a little dot coming out from underneath. Really, a kamatz is a dot. Now, there's a well-known rule, and this is a rule that Rabbeinu Bechaye brings down in the beginning of Parshas Vayera, and he says like this. Says Rabbeinu Bechaye, there's a very big difference between a kamatz and a patach. And he refers to the following rule. That a word that usually has a patach, when that word ends a pasuk, or is the last word before an asnachta, the patach becomes a kamatz. In other words, there's a word tachas, under. But when the word tachas is the last word of a pasuk, or right before an asnachta, it's tachas. Or, for example, there's a great man by the name of Mardechai. Mardechai. Not Mordechai, not Mardechai. That's the name, Mardechai. However, if you look in Megillas Esther, it's not always Mardechai. Often it's Mardechai. So sometimes Bali Kriya have a hard time memorizing. When is it Mardechai? When is it Mardechai? But it's really not that hard to remember, because there's a rule. And the rule is, whenever Mardechai is in the middle of the pasuk, it's Mardechai. Whenever Mardechai is the last word of the pasuk, or right before the asnachta, it's Mardechai. Because in Lashon HaKodesh, whenever a word is the last word of a clause, either an asnachta or a seif pasuk, the patach becomes a kamatz.
Why do you say it's the word before the asnachta? It wouldn't be the asnachta itself?
No, the word of the asnachta. In other words, the asnachta is usually following the word. In other words, let's say in the Vayarum Tarloim Vayevash, the asnachta appears after the word Vayevash. You'll have it sometimes, in middle of you're right, in middle of the word. That's just for the emphasis of what syllable to emphasize.
So you mean the last word?
Right, the ultimate word, not the penultimate word, the ultimate word.
So
the word or the asnachta, correct. So pasuk or asnachta. By the way, I'm only aware of one exception to this rule in Megillas Esther, where the pasuk says Vayav, where the word Mordechai is not in an asnachta and not seif pasuk, and it's still Mordechai, where it's a very short pasuk. It says Mordechai, even though it's not an asnachta, it's a zakef katan. But in that pasuk, since there's no asnachta, the zakef katan takes the place of the asnachta. It's the main stop of the pasuk, and therefore there also it's Mordechai. So that's the general rule. The general rule is in Lashon HaKodesh, whenever you have a word in the middle of a sentence, it's patach. Whenever it's the end of the pasuk or the end of right before the asnachta, it's a kamas. And yet, if you look in this pasuk, in Parak Tezayin, pasuk Chaf,
Should be Vayevash.
v'lo shamu el Moshe, vayosiru anoshim mimenu ad boker, vayarum toilaim. It should be vayevash, not vayevash. It should be vayevash. It's right before an asnachta. Why is it vayevash? And I would say most people, they just read through the pasuk, patach, kamatz, what's the difference? I have more important things to worry about. No, this is the most important thing you have to worry about. What happened to the missing dot in the word vayevash? And in fact, if you look further on in pasuk Chav Daled, the pasuk says, Vayanichu oisai ad haboker, they left it to the morning, kashatziva Moshe, this is talking about Shabbos, v'loi hivish, and it didn't become spoiled, v'rima loi hoisavai, and there were no worms in it. Now if you notice, these two psukim are in opposite order. If I were to ask you, when a fruit rots, when something rots, what comes first? Does it first rot and then worms come? Or do worms come and then it rots? First it rots, and then the worms come. They eat the rotten fruit, right? Another, you have an apple in your fridge. Do the worms come right away? No. First, it gets a little brown, and then it gets a little rotten, and then the bugs come, right? Okay. So now, in pasuk Chaf, it says Vayarum Toilaim, the worms came, Vayevash, and it spoiled. And in pasuk Chav Daled, it says it didn't rot, and the worms didn't come. The opposite order. Which pasuk would you say is more correct? The later one. It says it didn't rot, and the worms didn't come. Why in pasuk Chav does it say the worms came and it rot? Says Rashi, the pasuk's out of order. It's a mikra hafach. Really, it should say the following: Vayevash, and it rot. Vayarum toilaim, and the worms came. Says Rashi, I'll read to you the words: Hareza mikra hafach, shebetchila hivish. First it rots, ulevasayf hisliya, and then it becomes wormy. Ke'inyan shenemer, like it says later on, v'loy hivish, it didn't rot. V'rima loy hoysabay. V'chein derech kol hamaslim. That's how things rot. First they rot, and then the worms come. So listen to the following. I saw once in the Torah journal. It's more like it's a major compendium called. The name of this journal is called Yeshurun. Ever see Yeshurun? It's a big journal, hardcover journal. It's a black cover in the 6th volume on page Reish Yud Ches. Rabbi Katzman, who is a expert in Svarim, he brings down a vart from Reb Shlomo Halevi Landau, mi Vilkemere. Reb Shlomo Halevi Landau mi Vilkemere, who is the Talmud of the Vilna Gaon. And he says, Mamish Oyam V'naya. You know why it says Vayevash and not Vayevash? Because Rashi is telling us, really the word Vayevash should not be by the Asnachta. It should be Vayevash, Vayarum Toilaim. That's what it should say. What does it say, Vayarum Toilaim Vayevash? So we're asking, well, if Vayevash is by the Asnachta, it should say Vayevash. You know what the answer is? Rashi's telling you. It's an out-of-order pasuk. It should say Vayevash, Vayarum Toilaim, and that's why there's no kamatz. It's a patach. It's beautiful. In other words, what Rashi is saying is alluded to with the missing dot. How does another indication that Rashi is correct over here? Obviously, Rashi is correct, but a proof to what Rashi is saying is: how do we know it's a mikra hafach? How do we know the pasuk's out of order? Because it says Vayarum Toilaim, Vayevash. Why is it a patach? Because really it should not be by the asnachta. Really it should be before. Right? Beautiful word. So now the question is, Rabbi say, why is the pasuk out of order? So why is the pasuk out of order? Why? So right, Vayevash, Vayarum Toilaim. Why right, Vayarum Toilaim, Vayevash? And now you have a question, what happened to the So you have to answer it's out of order, so put it in order. So it says, Reb Shlomo Halevi Landau, mi Vilkemere, says like this. What's the end of the pasuk? Vayiktzayf aleihem Moshe. Moshe got angry at them. Why is Moshe getting angry at them? Because they left it over. How did Moshe know they left it over? But Moshe is using Ruach HaKodesh here to Moshe Rabbeinu all of a sudden is communing with the Rebbeinu Shalom. And Hashem tells Moshe, these people left it over? Maybe. But Moshe didn't have to do that. Because when food rots, you don't need Ruach HaKodesh to know it rots. You just smell it rots, and then you know. So how did Moshe know they left it over? Because it got wormy? Or because it was rotten? Rotten! Moshe knows the worms was titzach in their refrigerator. Moshe knew that it was rotten. Moshe knew they left it over because it rot. So in order to juxtapose Vayivash to Vayiktzayf Aleim Moshe, in other words, the end of the pasuk is Vayiktzayf Aleim Moshe. Moshe got angry. Why did he get angry? Not because of the worms, but because of it rots. So therefore the pasuk switches it around. Vayarum Tailaim. But that's not why Moshe got angry. Why did he get angry? Vayivash. Vayiktzayf Aleim Moshe. So we asked, but it should be Vayivash. No, it's not Vayivash because it's out of order. Why is it out of order? Because we want to we want to juxtapose Vayivash to Vayiktzayf Aleim Moshe. So you read a pasuk, it seems like an innocent pasuk. Yeah, it got worried, Moshe got angry, but the levels and layers of Ramazim and Soidais just on Pshat. This is not, deep secrets of the Torah, just the simple meaning of the pasuk. There's so much depth in one pasuk. Vayarum Tailaim Vayivash. Why To teach what Rashi is saying, it's a mikra hafach. Why is it a mikra hafach? To juxtapose Vayiktzayf Aleim Moshe.
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.